Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen. I am so glad to have you with us on today. If you're tuning in today via social media, I'm going to ask that you please like, tag, and share this conversation with those in the neighborhood. I'm in the studio today with my main man, Matthew, a.k.a. White Soul. What's good, Matt?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm smiling. The sun is out. Whenever the sun comes out, it just changes my entire dynamic. I'm so excited. The day just seems to be brighter. It seems more fun. I get excited when I get to come in here and see you, Matt. And so we are going to have a great show for those of you who are tuning in today. If you're tuning in on the FM dial, I want to say welcome to those of you who are listening via KISS WTLZ on 107.1 FM. Those are our call letters. Or if you're catching us via one of our social media platforms, we certainly thank you. If you're tuning in and you like what you hear for the first time, or maybe there's a show that you were interested in hearing, you can always go to WTLZ.com. When you go in there, you'll see this lovely face, and you'll be able to hit that button, click, and go and check out this show and other shows as it relates to Straight Talk. Those of you in the social media stream, I see my dear mother as the first person to come in. Mother, welcome to Straight Talk. Alma Collier, Jimmy Eve, a.k.a. Prince's #2 fan, Green, is here. Congratulations on your award. Well-deserved. I certainly thank you, Jimmy, and congrats on the big award. I appreciate you, Jeffrey Bulls, and those of you who are coming in. The award that they're talking about is yesterday at the Michigan Association of Broadcasters Award. I received the award as Best Talk Show for my show on a sister station, United Shades of Gray, along with my partners in purpose, Jonathan Dent, John B., and Matthew Bassett, my buddy who I always refers to as the rich, corny guy. But he is the guy. I love the guy. He's out on the West Coast. I can't wait. We'll be together this week, and we'll show the award on that show. So make sure that you're tuning in. Today, we're going to be talking about the Saginaw March for Peace. I believe is coming in. I'm going to bring into the stream Jason Dean. He has been actually hosted him on the Art Lewis show. That was a couple years ago.
I think so.
So he's doing amazing work. Jason Dean, Saginaw March for Peace, along with one of our friends, and he's been here. He was talking about peace. And how you can, what was the peace and purpose, peace and happiness. We're talking about Dr. Devashis Mrida. And so today he's going to be sharing with us about the Mrida International Institute for Peace and Happiness, what you have going on.
Yes. Well, thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Kareem, and congratulations to you on your honors from this weekend.
Appreciate it. And he's a mean guitarist as well. So,
well, there you go. Well, actually, the March for Peace, the Peace Walk is actually in September.
Okay.
This will be our 4th year of doing that, and that's held every year on International Peace Day, which is September 21st.
So I'm just all confused, but we're having a peaceful moment here today. So
Absolutely.
make sure we get it together. I saw you actually on TV5 WNM with Andy Bethune. So why don't you share with us what's going on? Just let us know.
Yeah, so the thing that we have coming up, our other sort of tentpole event for the organization is our annual Peace Symposium, which is happening at Saginaw Valley State University at Gilbertson Hall. And we did our first one last year. And the idea behind the symposium, Dr. Mrida started MIIPH, which is the Mrida International Institute for Peace and Happiness, back in 2021. And the idea was to have sort of a physical entity that would be able to further some of the concepts that he puts forth in a lot of his writings about peace. And so his purpose is everything kind of starts with yourself, peace within yourself. If you can't have peace with yourself, you can't really have peace in your family, at your workplace, and in the community. So this event, the symposium, is really taking experts in those particular areas. So we had, like last year for this first symposium, we had a specialist in work seminars dealing with peace in the workplace. We had a a family counselor dealing with talking about the intricacies of peace in the family. And then Mayor Brenda Moore tied it all together with peace in the community and her perspective on that. And then Dr. and you mentioned Andy Bethune, he is the chair of our board. He and Dr. engaged in a conversation on Doctor's feelings about inner peace. And so that kind of tied that whole conversation together. So this year, we decided to add a topic to the conversation, which is homelessness, which is a topic that it's a subject that, whether it affects you directly or not, you either perhaps have somebody in your family or somebody that you know who is dealing with those issues. And it's not just the dregs of society. I mean, anybody in any level can find themselves in a situation they didn't realize they'd be in. And so this year we're lucky, fortunate to have some professionals in some local organizations. Dan Streeter at the Rescue Mission Ministries of Mid-Michigan is going to be giving our keynote address. And Mary Ellen Johnson of the Youth Protection Council is also going to be participating. And then we also have leaders from the Mustard Seed Shelter and United Way of Saginaw County.
Okay. So, one of the things I think that we often don't take into consideration is that when we talk about homelessness, we're thinking about individuals who are on the side of the road, who don't have, a home or living under a bridge. But there are millions of Americans that are always living in threat of being homeless. Mm-hmm. And the pressure and the mental taxation that takes on an individual is very similar to those who are homeless already. I guess, if you're going to lose your home, you're going to lose your apartment. Once you lose it, it's no longer an issue to have to deal with, but it is a serious issue that millions of Americans are dealing with. So as we look at this understanding that peace, how does one find peace when they are finding themselves homeless? What is the understanding? I hate the doctor could not be with us on today. He's driving back to Michigan because he's literally all over the state. But how does one find peace even when they're dealing with the issues of homelessness?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the one aspect about peace, and you mentioned homelessness and the fact that it touches a lot of people. When you think about the amount of people, think about the people perhaps who are living paycheck to paycheck.
Absolutely.
And that's a situation where if there's a little kink in the system, then all of a sudden you're one step away from thinking about what do I do if. So just to close on that point, but I think your question was, what do you?
How do you find peace and be homeless at the same time?
Right. Now, I believe that my benefit from the 3 years that I've been working with Doctor is I do get a chance to absorb a lot of his philosophy. Now, there's another, but I still am constantly in awe of the fact of the times when he is able to put it into practice when it wouldn't necessarily be my first instinct. That's the key of
it's interesting.
Right. And I think really the key to a peacefulness is really and I'm certainly just going to paraphrase here, but it has to be about living in the present moment, number one.
Okay, that's good.
A lot of the things that take me out of my peacefulness are, reliving incidents from the past, which are already over with. And I think Doctor would agree that being present in the moment is really kind of the
key to peace.
The key. And so what, and really we're with the Institute and our purpose with the symposium is, we're not experts. We're not conflict resolution people. We're Doctor's philosophy about peace is really about stopping. Peace is about stopping conflict, before it actually occurs. And so with the tools that you can have, which are really about being able to not hold on to negativity, and just to also the main thing is we're giving people tools that they'll be able to use that will help them to kind of deal with challenging situations. So
why the Institute for Peace and Happiness? I know that he's written a couple of books, and he actually came in, Dr. Marita came in, and he was sharing with us his book. One was on peace, and I think the other was on
Verses of Happiness.
Yeah,
the first one, and then Verses of Peace.
Verses of Peace. So why the Institute of Peace and Happiness here in the city of Saginaw? What was the reason behind that? The importance of that for him?
Well, the purpose is really there's a lot of organizations that are I think a lot of peace organizations that are out there, and nothing against them, is it's all about kind of a response to war, or let us I think the real key is bringing a philosophy. Of course, Doctor's story. He's from he comes from Bangladesh, and he has a very humble background, and sort of taking his personal experience and applying his philosophy has really been. I think your question was why did he come to actually start?
Start the Institute of Peace and Happiness here in Saginaw.
And he just wanted to. It really comes from, you mentioned the books, the Peace, Verses of Peace, and Verses of Happiness, and we actually have a new one we're working on right now with Cardinal Solutions, which is the student graphic arts department within SBS. And so we're working with a couple of very talented students to produce this next series of quotes, which, as I said, is verses of inner peace. So it's kind of taking the verses of peace, but really the last couple of years, as we've developed the symposium, Doctor has kind of gotten deeper into that aspect of inner peace, because it is sort of the linchpin of all these other things that come into play when you deal with a community searching for peace.
So let me ask this question. When we think about the symposium that's going to take place, what's the date of the symposium again?
It's April 19th.
April 19th, so that's coming pretty quickly, a couple of weeks away. Are we talking in that particular case, are we talking about inner peace there, or are we talking about peace in the community? I guess that would help to define which of those are we really targeting.
Well, we're talking about peace in the community, because and one of the questions as we were fleshing out really the focus, and as we were approaching some of these folks who specialize in working with the home, I don't know what's called, homeless or home shelter challenged community, those
homeless population.
We were talking about is it really the effect of homelessness on peace, or is the effect of peace on homelessness? And it's really interesting to look at both of those things, but really for the symposium, our focus and really Doctor's focus, because these other individuals will be speaking about it from the different strata of community, family, and workplace. Actually, Mary Ellen Johnson is with the Youth Protection Council, is going to be speaking specifically about there's young people who are still in high school, living in families that are either having challenges with their living situation or homeless, and also working, so contributing to the family in that way, and try to navigate. So their organization is helping students who are facing not only the situation of going to school and trying to earn some money on the side to support them, but also the living situation. So to bring it back to the idea of inner peace, it's really kind of the at the summary of the symposium, after these other folks have kind of shared their perspectives, and it's really kind of taking the idea of homelessness, spiritual homelessness. So it's really kind of applying some of Doctor's thoughts and philosophies around a peacefulness. And it's not. He has an interesting. His philosophy isn't what I would call spirituality, but it's these truths that you really can't. There's a lot of overlap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think when I look at this, and you brought up something about youth that are homeless, what I really want our audience, those who are listening, to really pay attention to is the fact that I was blown away once I got more involved in our school districts to find that there are students that are actually coming in, and there is a need for them to have a place to have a shower. We're feeding the large percentage of our students because we can't determine which of those where food is an actual issue at home. A number of students that are going to school from homeless shelters. And when I saw this, and I thought about the statements many people make about our educational systems and what they aren't doing right, and when educational facilities have to be both a teacher and a counselor and a parent and a guidance instructor, all of these other issues, it weighs heavily. And so, I mean, when I think about, we talk about peace and homelessness, that is a serious issue. We give the proclamation here in our country that everyone has certain inalienable rights, that we have the right to, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Happiness is fleeting for those who are struggling to find out, where can I lay my head? We talk about affordable housing, and I know that one of your speakers, Dan Streeter, has a whole mission of solving homelessness in the city of Saginaw. And so those are issues. There's been a lot of conversation about affordable housing, but the housing that comes in our communities tends to not necessarily be affordable. And so it adds to the stress. So when people are coming to this, what should they anticipate as they're coming to this symposium to hear, to learn, to be educated on how to bring both homelessness and peace in the community together?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question. And we thought about, how the best way to add value, and really, I think starting with the idea of defining sort of the context of the problem, kind of in a large sense, and then more specifically how it relates to this area specifically. And so taking being able to kind of give a description of the situation as it stands now with homelessness, and then shining a spotlight on the people and the organizations that are working towards solutions and what they're doing and how that's working. And then hopefully people who are in attendance will leave not only with a better understanding, but with a healthy sense of motivation of what they might be able to do to help.
Okay. Let's share once again the information. When is this taking place?
Yep.
How can people get involved? What can they do? All of that good stuff.
Yep, it's the second annual Merida International Peace Symposium, and the topic is Spotlight on Homelessness, and it's happening Friday, April the 19th, and it starts at 9 a.m. and it goes until about 2 p.m. And it's a free event to attend, and it includes a continental breakfast and lunch. And it's being held at on the SVSU campus at Gilbertson Hall. And if you are interested in finding out more, you can go to miiph.org. And there's also a link for the symposium, just symposium.miiph.org. And that you can find out more about not only the symposium, but about the organization and the other things that we do, as the Aforementioned Pensions Peace Walk. And there's also we can get to this as well, the permanent Saginaw Peace Path that's in progress.
Okay, so there's a peace path that's in progress.
Yes.
I love, as you guys continue, I would love to get a good doctor back. You guys continue this conversation, but it's going down on the 19th. Let's make sure that we're here for the symposium on peace and homelessness. Is that correct?
Yes. It's the Peace Symposium, and the topic is Spotlight on Homelessness.
Spotlight on homelessness. Each time we spotlight a particular area as it relates to peace, I want to thank you, Jason Dean, not to be. Did I get it right?
Absolutely.
Jason Dean. So I was going to call you, was it John Dean? James Dean. I always want to call you James Dean. So we certainly thank you for your time and attention. We're going to take a quick break here at Straight Talk. When we come back, we're going to talk about another group that is working to bring peace into the community. That's Help Community Violence Intervention Program. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more Straight Talk.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem.
Thank you very much.
7.1.
Had a great time, and
TikTok, let's talk, Mid-Michigan. Brian Wassick here, GMC Buick, your only local Buick dealer and home of the lifetime warranty.
I saw the media on TikTok. See you guys on TV doing the interview. Very good. Someone called me. I'm like, I'm already watching it.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like, he's actually going to be on our show on the 7th, and so they would text me like, you need to hear about it. I said, yeah, I'm aware of that.
Well, we confirmed this date, and of course, Doctor confirms it, but Shanu is the X factor. His wife really is his schedule manager, especially on the weekends. I can't,
guarantee. Yeah,
right. Yeah. But anyway, he was he placed full confidence in me, so
that's good. Yeah. You've been working with him for how long now?
3 years in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's been, and slowly but surely, I'm helping to realize his goals of making these truly international in what we're actually doing for the Peace Walk this year. And we'll have to get back in to have him talk on that. But we're doing 10 different cities at the same time that are also going to be that we're sponsoring at the same time on the same date. So
that's great.
Like in Los Angeles, Toronto, even Australia. There's people.
That's a huge order.
Yeah. So we're putting that. Each year we're doing something just a little more.
All right, I appreciate it. He's a good guy. So thank you for helping and supporting and working and making this dream.
It's more than just my armpits. Ooh, can I use it with my bra?
I'll get him in here next time.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Take care, Jason.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
All right. 4 out of 5 gynecologists recommended it. So I tried it, and now I get 72 hours of freshness.
Come on in, bro. You good?
Ooh,
I went to sleep, man.
Me too. And it comes in sticks.
To the right. This way, Jason. Did you come in this way? Or did you come in through the front? Yes, you want to. No. Go to the exit and go to the right.
Hated on.
Yeah.
Understand what haters do. They hate. Go on about your business. Always remember what Martin Luther King said. A man can't ride you back.
You ain't got nothing to say. You ain't got nothing to say.
I'm not being over.
Yeah. You go through it too.
All the time. You'll never have a hater that's
Matt, you good?
You. That's why they hating. It's from 7.1, simply the best.
I thought the doctor was gonna be with them, but
page where you can find out about all of the events that are happening in Saginaw, Main City, and Midland. Victoria's Music and Good Medicine Entertainment present End of the Road, a 20-minute interactive fine art experience that will change your life. Taking place on Saturday, April the 6th from 12 to 3. Admission is free. Black Maternal Health Week is April the 17th. It's a community screening, Birthing Justice. Doors open at 5:30. The screening begins at 6.
1 minute.
Place at Memorial Library, 3100 North Center Road. Saginaw Valley Baptist District Association and the Great Lakes Community Resource Association presents their Community Expo, happening on Saturday.
Man, what you do? Roll out of bed and come into work?
10 to 3 at Univista Community all community partners.
I have a knot in my back that I've had all day that I haven't been able to get out.
Bowlathon, taking place on April 28th at noon at Stardust Lanes. Cost $30 for individuals, $100 a team. Includes 2.
You might have to go to a chiropractor, bro.
Delta
my grandma and a lot of my family members do.
Wellness Expo, mind, body, and soul.
Be careful because they're gonna make you spend like $30 at least cash, no matter what.
At the chiropractor. Yeah, because most insurances don't pay for it.
At least
my insurance do, but they still manage to find a way to get some money out.
You're listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.
All right, we're back with more Straight Talk. I want to thank you guys for tuning in today. We tried to change our format just today. Our dear friend, Dr. Debasis Merida, was coming in for the International Institute for Peace and Happiness. So what you heard just a second ago was his spokesperson, Jason Dean. Mr. Dean, who was here. I always forget his name. I want to call him James, so it's Jason Dean. So we thank him for his time and attention. But today we're going to turn our attention toward community gun violence intervention, and we're going to talk a little bit about the HELP program. But, I did not open up with talking about what was on my mind. So I want to get a couple of those things in before we get started, since we were trying to be nice. First of all, the NCAA championship basketball tournament for men is taking place and women. It's over, but yes.
The women's actually, they played today.
Yeah, they played today. Right. That's what the women's is over. They played today. I've not watched basketball, but they were talking about, there's such a influx of folks who are now watching women's basketball. We really know what that's about. Come on, y'all. They tried to do it with Larry Bird, didn't work. But anyways, congratulations to those teams that are still playing. If you know what I'm talking about, all right? But that's taking place. We also have men's tournament that takes place. UConn versus Purdue. The Big Ten is still standing strong. Nobody saw this pairing coming. So if you have a bracket, your bracket is busted. But we're excited about what's going on. But I do want to have a real quick conversation with my people. Family. I always talk about airing dirty laundry, and I talk about how we are the first to put our people to the stake and throw gasoline and other accelerants on them, set them on fire, and then talk about, wow, it's so sad what happened to them. But I want to talk really quick because we've been having a lot of conversation, and I've been pretty much quiet. Thank you, Jeffrey Bulls. He said South Carolina won. Don Staley, the GOAT coach. What? So Iowa, what happened? No, Iowa? No, what? Okay, so, well, we'll continue. But anyways, and I often talk about this, so I want to bring this up because I've not really said much on Diddy, because one of the issues that are important that we must take into account, if parents, there's an issue with parents there. So if Usher is an issue, where was Usher's mother? If Justin Bieber's place, none of my kids are going to nothing called no flavor camp. I don't care what adult it is. And so without other, supervision and other people being a part of this process, it ain't happening. But there's another story that is getting very little attention in the community that we really need to take a look at, because this one is totally about kids. And we're talking about the situation that's taking place, that's been taking place over on Nickelodeon. We're talking about Dan Schneider and Brian Peck and what's going on. There's a new documentary that's been out. This is installment number 5, and nobody's been talking about it. Quiet on the Set, where these two individuals, the co-directors, Emma Schwartz and Emma Robertson, and I know one of those names is not Emma, but Robertson and Schwartz were the individuals who put together this documentary. And the things that were going on some of the our kids, my favorite shows growing up as a kid, as a teenager, younger kids. I know they would always watch Zach and Cody, and these kids coming out talking about how they were being sexually molested and forced into situations that were inappropriate. A young black man said, "Hey, we're gonna strip you naked, cover you in peanut butter, and let a dog lick it off you." We know what kind of perversion and craziness that this is going on. But yet we sit here and we want to focus solely on Diddy. Half the folks that are dealing with the Diddy situation were grown folks who had a decision to make. Are you going to sell your soul for success? What are you going to do? Cassie, and my heart goes out there. I never want to victimize a victim. But there was a decision that was made, a poor decision that had her in a situation to where she is. And so I thank God that she's now getting, she'll never get real justice, but she is getting some type of response and a healthy financial payout. But nobody can take away the feeling or the stigma that she is now having to deal with. So let's make sure that as we look at what's going on around the world, nobody knew about Epstein, but everybody knew about Bill Cosby. And there is, there are things we can't do what other folks can do. and think we're going to get away with it in the manner that we get away with it. So I want us to just really begin to think about that and make sure that as we have these conversations, let's be very clear that other communities are not throwing folks under the bus. Let's let the justice system handle it the way that it is. If these things are true about what's happening, can't everybody be saying some? Everybody can't be saying some. Some got to be true. Some got to be true. Well, you know what? The funny thing is that they were all at a Diddy party, which means that there was an invitation that was given. And as adults, they made the decision to go to the Diddy party. So I was told as an adult, when you make a decision, you got to be able to handle and deal with the decisions that are made. And so my heart goes out for those that are victims, for those that are actually a part of this crazy, psycho, Hollywood mess that goes on in the world. Nobody's surprised about the foolishness that takes place. So neither should we be. But I just had to throw that out there. And now I'm going to get to the real stuff that really matters on today. I have with me another one of my brothers, Antonio Brooks. There are a lot of men that could sit on the other side of this platform. But when I was thinking about what's going on and what's coming up, I said, I need to get somebody that I knew can mobilize right away. See our brother Terry Reed in the stream, and some other brothers that are out there. And we want to talk a little bit about what's going on with HELP Violence Interventions, Community Violence Intervention Program. Let me say that. HELP is a community gun violence intervention program. HELP is a community gun violence intervention program. One of the first ways in which we decided to make an impact, in the words of my brother, Pastor Torres Simpson, who said this perfectly, is that we first of all had to create a scenario where we began to suffocate the channels that led to young men being a part of the system. If we can choke out and suffocate what feeds these individuals to gangs, feeds these individuals to the drug gang, feeds these individuals to a lifetime of crime, then we could really begin to address the issues that are very important. So mentorship is a key piece of what we're doing. It's a key component of how we're going to make change. My brother Antonio's in the house. There's been a lot that's been happening recently. I know that many of you out there want to give a shout out to Linda Napier, who is at this point forever joined and tied to the HELP group. She lost her son recently. You heard about the shooting of the young man, the 15-year-old. Let's talk about him. I got Antonio here because Antonio was one of those brothers that connected with him when he came into the program. That was actually a week that I was not actually able to be there. Brother Melvin McDowell was talking about social, emotional issues and how we need to deal with being, healthy in our mind. And so share with us a little bit, Antonio. I want to take a couple of seconds just to give a shout out to the young king. May he rest in power. And that is our young man that we refer to as Dominique. But go ahead, let's tell it. So Dominique, share a little bit about his story.
Dominique was he just was becoming a part of HELP. His grandmother, I guess Terry, had brought her and she wanted to bring her grandson.
She's been trying for a while.
Okay. And so we finally connected. Real respectful young man. Real he was into it. He was engaged. At first Terry said he was just like iffy or whatever, but by the time we got halfway through the session, man, he was just like, it was like he was one of us. You know what I'm saying? We was family. Like I had a conversation with him about some things, some personal stuff. He was real receptive. It was like I just saw a future with him. I saw him coming back. You know what I'm saying? I wish I would have saw him yesterday. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So this was 2 weeks ago. So yesterday was the first session that we actually came back after hearing earlier on Monday of last week, that he was in fact the teen that was shot. And I want to say this to our parents that are out there, and I'm going to come back to what we're talking about with you. It's important for you to understand most kids that come, they don't want to help.
Yeah.
If we were to look, most of them that come, their parents are dragging them to come, or I don't want to be here, and they sit in the corner for a couple 5 minutes. But what we need you all to understand is that there are very few situations where young Black boys have been in situations where they have been encircled and outnumbered by strong Black men
that love them,
that are concerned, that ain't trying to do no weird stuff with
Right,
them,
right.
but have an interest in seeing them become their best whole selves.
Right.
So even though they come in and they're not excited to be there by the end of the program, just as young Dominique Williams was, they come out and they're excited about coming back. And, one of the things, and Terry is here, and he's in the conversation in the stream. And if he wants to call in, once again, my producer is going to give you that number right now. Terry, if you'd like to call in because you were a part of this process with this young man, what's the number again, Matthew?
Yeah, it's 989-921-7107.
Why he sound like the little white lady that used to be when you call 755-4
Yeah, the time lady.
I'm messing with you, boy. So, but we want to make sure that we help you to understand that most kids don't want to come to this. Thank you, Chanel Williams, for continually supporting and doing what we're doing. Ralph Martin is out there in the stream as well. We want to make sure that you guys understand that they don't want to do this. Most of them want to sit at home and play video games all day long. But go ahead.
That's what I was going to say. Like me and you always had this conversation about kids that the parents, they know they need this, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to be a messed up child, or you don't have to think that all of the kids that's at our program are thugs or are just like some type of bad kids. You're not bringing your kids around some type of street kids. You bringing your kids into a structured program. You know what I mean? And they need this. They need to learn their
Go ahead.
They need to learn what's going on in their culture. They need to learn some valuable skills from strong Black men in their lives, man. And that's what we're there for, to provide guidance.
And I think what's important to understand is that I ain't come from the streets. Everybody we have folks that have come from the streets. We have folks that have participated in the game, have turned their lives around. Mm-hmm. We have brothers that have had businesses. We have folks that have been incarcerated. We got folks that are janitors.
Right.
Ralph Martin is a fire marshal.
Right.
We have individuals who are therapists and other things of that nature. Yep. It takes an entire village. I was sharing with the brothers that this, I'm finally glad that the world has finally come around to understand that gun violence is a public health crisis.
Yep.
And it has to be treated as such because it affects your emotional, your mental, and your physical body. So we need to make sure that we're dealing with this in that same manner. So as it relates to these young kings that are coming, this is what I need to make sure we talk about. So Dominique, rest in power. Linda Napier, you are always a part of it. My family, the Bowen family, the Richardsons, and the Hewlett family go all the way back. DeAndre, J. Rich. So there's been a love that's there. She is going to continually be a part of what we're doing because we are bringing the young girls in as well. But we also are going to make sure that that young man's life was not in vain. And so yesterday, at our session on yesterday, we talked with the kids about how they were feeling. They were very emotional because some of them thought they had made a new friend.
Yep. And
they did make a new friend. It was a short-lived friendship. And so we got to begin to understand, and I say this to anybody, that we've got to begin to take real care of the relationships that we form and stop taking things for granted, thinking that people are going to be there forever. And we've got to make sure that we show love to one another. And these kids created a strong bond really fast on the basketball court. Ain't that where all your friends came from when you was a kid?
Yep.
All your friends came from the basketball court. But I want to say this. We have to make sure that we get those kids out there. And I'm going to tell you what happens. Arshan Baldwin, good thing we don't give them what they want. Give them what they need. And Arshan, I love. Bear, Lionel is one of my favorite people on the planet. And I ran into him at the YMCA. The most respectful, very smart, intelligent, one of what I consider one of the best products Saginaw has put out. But if we can create one Lionel, we can create two. But it requires parents who are going to be engaged and do just what you said. Not give them what they want, but give them what they need. Chantel Harris, wish it was in the schools. I've asked for help, but I've been told he's responsible for himself at school. That is true, but why just send them to the detention and mark him absent? Well, Chantel, we have been talking with the school administrators. One of the things that the high school principal said that they needed were more mentors. So we will be in the schools giving our time. And I need y'all to understand something. We ain't getting paid for this
at all.
I mean, like we've been doing this work. The brothers that are grinding this out, we are not getting paid for this. And just recently we started this partnership with the YMCA, and they said, hey, you know what? We'll feed the kids as well. So we have recreation spaces. These brothers, we were buying pizzas and juice box and cookies. This is what we need in our community. Folks who are doing something, not because you get grand dollars. See, this is the thing that get me, and I'm going to get on my soapbox, and folks might get mad with what I'm about to say.
Get up there.
And I'm going to say this. And we're going to get back to y'all comments, because this really boils my chicken, if you will. We have now gotten to a place in our community that folks, when they stand up and they want to do something, and I commend these brothers for doing what they do. Continually, we're working every single week, meeting with kids every other week. Sometimes we go to 3 p.m. So we're literally there for almost half the day. Most times we go to 1 p.m. We have fishing trips coming up. We're spending time talking with the kids about the issues that are going on. Parents are saying, listen, I'm having these issues. We're coming in as men, addressing the issues that are important to these kids. Nobody's paying us for this. Right. Nobody promised us money for this. There was no grant that we were working toward when this came up. We're doing this because this is what you must do in order to save your community. Now, let me tell you what gets on my nerves. Because in talking with these entities, we got folks who are out there that are grant whores, and they trace after any dollar that happens in the community. Wow. And they don't have the programming. They aren't doing the work. But if we can get this money, we'll do this. Come on, stop it.
Ain't no way.
We have to start working with one another at some point. We got to realize that the collective of the community is much better when we all work together in the community. I know y'all gonna be mad. I'm sorry. But unfortunately, it's a straight talk. We give it to you straight, no chaser, no filter. If you got a problem with it, my number is 989-714-6957. We can talk about it. But the fact of the matter is, we've got to get back to the place where we don't only have collaboration, but we have community. We are lacking community in our community. And we have to begin to understand that unless we start doing things that are necessary without us being paid, we will never be able to actually handle or tackle the issues that we're dealing with. There, I said it. Be mad. We're going to get healed all at the same time. Chantel Williams says, I love the program. So does my son, Troy L. Please stop calling me. Anybody who knows me, please, who knows me, knows where I'm at. Don't call me on Sunday between 6 and 7. And they just keep calling. All right. I love the program. So does my son, Troy L. Troy L is a great king. He makes sure I set the clock to get him there on time. Thanks to help so much for your time and caring hearts. Linda, your family is in our prayers. Tania Baston. My son will be back involved now that Saturday basketball is over. Tania, we thank you for bringing him in. Come to Arthur Eddy. You are definitely welcome. Bam. We are in the house. That is exactly what we need. We're going to take the call. Terry is on the call, right? And I'm yes, Terry. I got in my feelings, and so I kept going. But let's bring my brother Terry. Terry, you there?
I'm here, brother. What's
going on, my man? I know that this has impacted you in a way that has an impact that it hasn't some of the others. We are all impacted, meaning that the loss of this young king was very important to us, and it impacts us all. However, I know that you have been in months-long conversations with his mom about getting us involved. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, Miss Linda, I think this was back in maybe September or October. She had been hearing about the program, and she would always, mention to me that Dominique, was needing a place where he can just trust in a male presence, to have a male presence in his life. Not saying that none of his uncles or maybe his brothers or siblings weren't involved. I'm not saying that, but she wanted a safe place for him to blossom, man. The great thing that I appreciate, I mean, me and that family, the Hewlett family, go back over 45 years. So over years, they, my families and things like that were intertwined, man. So they knew, Linda knew that bringing Dominique around me, that he would be in good hands. And I entrusted with her that if he's in my hands and in health hands, he's in good hands. So that's it's troublesome for me to just watch their whole family, not only the grandmother, great grandmother, but the great uncles and the great aunts and the great great grandmother suffering like that. Because again, I have a relationship with that whole entire family, man. It's just to see them hurt, and in that place, it hurt me just the same. And even furthermore, being a young 15-year-old that was just elated about being in the program, man, and smiling, and he and I walking to the car and to his grandmother and saying he couldn't wait to come back that the second week. And I still reflect on that right now, and it's bothersome every time I think about it.
So Terry, I was sharing with them how most kids that come the first time don't really want to be there. What was Dominique's actual? How did he feel when he first came? What were his thoughts about being there initially?
That's funny. When he first walked in, he told his grandma, he told Miss Linda, "Don't leave, because I know I ain't gonna like it." And it was weird because I think after, I don't know if it was Zeke, the one of them was talking to him. He told his grandma, "Go ahead and leave. I'm all right. I'll be all right." And I looked at him and smiled, and I said, "I told you so." And she left.
Yeah, he and Isaac connected. Yeah,
Isaac. Yep. Yeah, it was Isaac, and he left. And I mean, she left. The grandmother left, and then she called me and she asked me what time was it over. I told her, and she came back at that time, and as you can tell, it's kind of hard for me to talk about it, man. But I walked him out to the car and asked him how he felt, and he was like, "I heard we was going fishing." I said, "Yeah, we're doing all of those things." And that was our conversation leading up to the car. And he said he'll see me in a week in the next session. And that's our last conversation.
Wow. Man, Terry, thank you for calling in and sharing that piece. Before you go, though, I just want you to share, what is the one thing that we need from our community, in your eyes, to do to help us with this mission of getting guns and gun violence, violent crimes in our community underway? What is one thing that we could have our community partner with us on doing?
Well, I think first and foremost, we as adults, and it's a general statement, I'm not accusing or saying this to any one particular person, but I think all adult men, first and foremost, because we the leaders, that's what we were designed to do, to lead, to get them involved, man, and stop looking at the help group or whatever other organization that's paving the way, that's trying to make a way for these youth. Stop having that negative narrative. Wow, what they doing it for? And I was glad that you mentioned the money aspect of it, because again, we don't know what other groups are doing. All I know is that everything that's being done with these kids is facilitated through our monies, our own individual monies that we work hard for daily. So, in answering your question, I think it's just necessary for these men to get involved and stop watching. Don't let it affect your household before you decide to get involved. Be a preventive person and get involved. That's how I feel about it.
Wow, we thank you so much for calling in, my brother. I look forward to speaking with you see you in person. God bless you, and you have the great rest of the evening. Tell my sister Val I love her.
No doubt. And then let me say this, man. I love you too, but let me say this on my way out, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I love you, brothers, man. And we are a transparent group of brothers, and that's what's making us effective in this community. We are transparent with these kids. We have a genuine love, the mentors I'm talking about, a genuine love towards each other. And God is opening the eyes of leaders in this city to see that we are transparent and about our business, man. So again, I love y'all. I love Charles and Larry Walker. Everybody's a Big Mike. Everybody that's involved, man. I love you, man. I mean that.
Well, love, my brother. You be easy.
Right on.
And Tony, I want to ask you the same question that I asked Terry. When you look at what we're doing, since we're talking about health mentorship, and I need y'all to understand that help is we have a complete 2-year plan. Mentorship is one of the things that we were starting out with. We do, and we're talking about partnerships with Families Against Narcotics, because we're trying to address all of the issues that are part of the subculture of violence. So joblessness, health issues, drug issues, and those issues. What is the one thing as it relates to this mentorship piece, getting young men and women off the street? Because our girls, we're bringing them in next month and making them a part of the program. So every woman that's listening, we need y'all. Help Saginaw at gmail.com.
Yep.
So send us the message at helpsaginaw@gmail.com if you're interested being part. When we come back, we'll put up a QR code next time so that you can just scan and see this. But what is the one thing as it relates to working with these young people that we need the community to do to help us be more effective?
We need more parents bringing their kids. We need more parents to understand and believe in what we're doing, because without them, we're not getting the kids. So like, we got great parents and great returning mentees, but that need to catch on in the community with other parents. I don't care if you're a father, come in as a man, bring your son, sit down, watch what's going on, volunteer. You don't have to be a bad dad for your son to have another mentor.
Can you please say that again, my brother?
Men, bring your sons. That's what this is about.
Well, let me say it this way, because we have a lot of brothers who think that I'm a dad, I'm a good dad, my son doesn't need a mentor. But this is the thing, and I need y'all parents to hear me, right? You have the opportunity to stack the deck in your favor. Every young person, you were a young person at one point in time in your life, and there was a time when no adult in your family could speak to you. There was a time when your parents were talking a foreign language and you didn't want to hear what they had to say. You have the ability to stack the deck in your favor by bringing your young men and your young women into the help program. So when they come into the program, now you have somebody who has the same desire for your child to succeed, to be protected, to have this great opportunity that is now. So when they stop listening to you, you have other adults that you have chosen that are already there to be able to support you, that are going to leave, get up out their bed at 10 o'clock if they somewhere they shouldn't be, and go, that's what we about. Terry talked about the genuineness of our relationship with these kids and the genuine relationship with one another. But we made this commitment that if it meant that we had to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to do what we got to do, that's what we're doing. But go ahead, bro. You're going to say something.
Well, that's why now, more than just doing this every other Saturday, we getting the numbers and we collect the phone numbers of the kids that actually have phones, and we assigning personal mentors to smaller groups, and we're going to be calling and reaching out. And so like, what you was talking about earlier about like, so it was I ain't gonna name no names. It was a kid in the session, and he was his grandma was sitting there with him, and he was kind of getting out of pocket. And one of the mentors kind of went over and kind of helped the grandmama out, right? And I'm glad she didn't try to stop him from trying to get him correct, because it ended up working. You know, he wouldn't give up the phone. She was like, put that phone up. And he was like, no. And one of the mentors stepped up and was like, no, brother, that's not how you do that. You don't talk to your grandmama like that. And then we went over there, talked to him, and he gave it up, right?
Yes.
Sometimes that's all it takes. You know what I'm saying? But some parents, they'll be like, oh, don't say nothing to my baby. You know what I'm saying? Some parents will still get defensive. But that, you know what I'm saying? But we need that. We need that type of cooperation that we can work as a team.
You'd be surprised the difference a little testosterone in your voice will make.
Testosterone and love, bro.
And love.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important. So what we have lined up for these kids, and we're doing, we got a partnership that we're working with, some youth programming with the Saginaw Police Department, Chief Bob Ruth. We want to thank you for the support there. We were just contacted by the Fortney Club and Mr. Morey, John Morey, over there. Folks are hearing about what we're doing and they're coming in. Now, this is what we're going to need from the village. For those of you who are listening, one, bring your kids, bring your nephews. Next month when we bring the girls and stop. I don't care what else they're involved in, what else they're doing, because our kids were left for 2 years where there was no social interaction. They were separated. Even if you have a good kid, they need to be able to socialize with folks from different places, from different communities. Everybody is not going to be coming from Hollywood Hills, and you're going to be able to save your child from gun violence. The fact of the matter is, the things that you don't talk to them about and you don't expose them to will be the things that will take them out. It's important for us to be able to have these conversations. We talked about gun violence prevention on yesterday. We talked about gun safety. We talked about what should you do. You know, and it's funny because parents are like, we never thought we had to have these conversations.
Right.
Well, you can't take a toy gun to school. I don't care if it's show or tell or you're excited about, you can't do it. You're going to get 180 days.
Right.
That means you're going to be out of school. You're going to get it. Nobody's playing. People are dying every day, parents. So we've got to have these conversations. We're not only talking about those conversations, but we're talking about being prepared and being dressed for excellence. And when I talk about dress for excellence, I'm not talking about your clothes. I'm talking about your mindset, your mentality, your positioning in the community. We are also preparing for kids. If your kids need tutoring, don't just drop them off, mom and dad. Bring them in so we can do the assessment, so we can find out if they need help in math, if they need help in ELA, whatever it is, because that is what we're here to do. Because knowledge is power and ignorance is dangerous. And it's time for our community to come out of the cavern and the taverns of ignorance to empower ourselves. And when you have people that are willing to stand in the gap and do it, that's what we're going to do. So as we begin to look, the next time we meet, do you know what that date is offhand?
I do not.
All right, so we can look up the date. helpsaginaw@gmail.com is the number. We are coming up with a hotline. So if you're having issues with your child, or if you have a child that wants to get involved, or if you're a man that wants to get involved, help, H-E-L-P at Saginaw, help Saginaw, H-E-L-P Saginaw @gmail.com. So let's make sure that we do that. We got your brother Jimmy Green. I'm excited about adopting to help kids for Saginaw Urban Hockey Foundation. Saturday the 20th, my man T Reed is on it. And we up here, he's using them fingers. So Saturday the 20th at 10 a.m. We'll be meeting at the YMCA. We have fishing coming up. What's the email again? Help Saginaw, H-E-L-P Saginaw @gmail.com. Shoot us an email. We'll get back in touch with you. We do have forms that we hand out, and understand that this is an organized program. And I say that because I've worked with young people for a number of years. So we have files on the kids that we're bringing together. We're finding out what's going on in their life. And we're tracking this so that we understand the level of impact, so that we know what sessions they were a part of, what we've put in them. And, we're doing some assessments coming up to find out how much of this information are they really retaining. So this is just one aspect, but this is really, honestly, the most valuable commodity that we have in our community. Thank you so much, Stacey Crosby, for putting it in the chat. The most valuable commodity that we have in our community is our children.
Absolutely.
And if we're not willing to bring absolutely our team, I said this one time, and our entire team has fallen in love with it. Consistency over time builds trust. That is so important. So we want to help our children be consistent in what they do. That's both our boys and our girls. Our girls are starting up in May. We have Miss Sylvia Bradley and crew that is going to be doing parenting classes. Laura Jones, and so many of you other ones are out there, ladies that are interested in working with our babies. We need you to get involved. We need your time and attention. We are blessed. We're working with MCOs as an opportunity, possibly for some funding to help some of the work that we're doing with these young people. But if we don't get a single dollar, this is one of those stories that we have to say, no matter what other communities do, we're going to take care of our babies.
Absolutely.
Kinseria and Gara, are the children well? That's what they asked, the Maasai Warriors. And we're done with our show on today. So the Maasai Warriors that are here today, myself, on behalf of Terry, Taurus, Mike Washington, Ralph Martin, and all of the other brothers that help, we asked the question, Kinseria and Gara, are the children well? We're going to thank you for your time and attention for tuning in today. Once again, Straight Talk, we thank you for your love, your participation, your continual listenership. Take care of yourself and each other. Grace and peace.
You've been listening to Straight Talk with Kareem Bowen on KISS 107.1.